said no.
So again, thanks everybody for coming to the anniversary roast of Jay and Maggie Cooper.
Dad's still getting cake.
You guys, you may have thought you were here to come to an anniversary party, but no. It's true, Jay and Maggie have been married for 25 years.
Woo!
But instead of celebrating this occasion, we've decided to do what friends and family should do, which is tell embarrassing stories in front of people we barely know. Hopefully, if we succeed, Jay and Maggie will leave tonight with a shred of the self-esteem they have left. But they're really old, so it doesn't really matter. Before I get to the guests of honor, I'd like to introduce the rest of my family, all sitting at this front table. Some of you here know us, but I think most of you probably don't, at least not intimately. My sister Beth is the oldest of the siblings.
Raise your hand, Beth. Stand up.
Beth traveled all the way here from Northern California to be here today. She may seem a little tired, maybe irritable, off balance, but that's just because she has a teenage son. I think just kind of as a side note, you know, we have Obamacare now, and I think we need to push for Obamacare. When your kids are between 13 and 18, the government just sends you antidepressants. It should just be part of the deal. We pay taxes for this stuff. My parents taught us growing up that we need to accept everyone. And my sister Beth really took this to heart and really lived this example by dating every race, religion, size, shape, and age of male she came across. There were black, Asian, Mexican, even a guy from Morocco that she met while we were on vacation at Disney World. And then invited him to dinner with us, which I'm sure my parents loved. But, you know, my parents really did appreciate this because she brought every single guy she ever dated home for dinner. Every single one of them. You never knew who was going to walk through the door. My sister Kelly is the next in line. It's really hard to make fun of Kelly because she really is one of the sweetest people. She has a very big heart. Although she does spell sweet, S-W-E-A-T.
That's true.
I remember she wrote a letter to her high school boyfriend that read something like, "Hi, Sweaty. I just want to thank you for being so sweat to me. Your sweatiness is the best part about you." Now, Kelly was always Mom's favorite.
Still is.
I think it's because they look a lot alike. It's kind of like she's looking in a younger mirror, you know. If you take a baby picture of Kelly and a baby picture of my mom, put them side by side, you really can't tell them apart. And Beth and I don't look like my mom, and it always made us wonder who our dad is. You know, Mom grew up in a small town in Arizona, next to a truck stop, things happen. But luckily, my mom found Jay and united all of us as a family. And with Jay came my younger brothers, John and Taylor. You guys raise your hands. I was always the baby of the family up until this point, so it was really nice to have, you know, two new little brothers to play with and blame everything on.
And he did.
Broken windows, holes in walls, you know, you name it, I pretty much pulled it all. But even after all my torture, they grew up to be great fathers to their kids and husbands to their wives, who are both named Vanessa. True story.
Have them raise their hand.
Will the Vanessas raise their hands? As a kid, John used to always bring home the most random stuff, and their room growing up was like an episode of Hoarders. And I remember at least once a year, my parents would go through their room and take out like five garbage bags full of just weird random stuff. Taylor, what's the weirdest thing that John ever brought home?
Probably that 3D Halloween ghost kind of coming through the wall thing that he hung above my bed for 2 weeks, and that scared the crap out of me every night. So
I remember driving home from somewhere one day, and there was off to the side of the road there was like a 50-gallon oil drum, and John at 12 was like, "Oh, let's pull over and get that oil drum." What does the 12-year-old need with an oil drum? But we stopped and got it anyway because Jay wanted it.
What do we use it for, Dad?
burn barrel.
Burn barrel.
Burn barrel.
Which will lead to one of my stories later on.
It is kind of ironic though that as now John's older, he's an adult, and he owns his own scrapping business. I met John and Taylor when I think they were 6 and 3. And John, at the time, was known as Bucky. But, you know, later on in his teenage years, he learned to hate the name Bucky, so no one should call him Bucky these days. That's Bucky. With a B. B-U-C-K-Y. Bucky. Now, Taylor has always been a fun person, a lot of fun to be around. As a kid, some people might have said he was flamboyant. Taylor proudly served in the U.S. Army, so give him a round of applause. We were all shocked when Taylor joined the Army because he was so obviously gay. we didn't even think the Army would take him. I guess you just don't know how to read something.
Really, man?
But now Taylor lives in Minnesota with his wife, one of the Vanessas, and their 2 beautiful kids, Isla and Elijah. Ayla, sorry, I always say Isla. Because I have a Taylor's lived a pretty interesting life. He lived in Arizona, he lived in Utah, he lived in Texas, now he lives in Minnesota. He's also had a bunch of different careers. He worked at Alpha Graphics. He was a student. He was a pilot in training. He was a scuba instructor in training. He joined the Army. He stopped dating men. And now he lives in Minnesota with a bunch of booze and guns waiting for the zombie apocalypse.
That's a true story.
But now to our guests of honor, Jay and Maggie Cooper.
Yay!
I was kidding earlier when I said I didn't know my dad. My dad was around when we were kids, but he was only there every other weekend. So Jay really is the father figure in my life. And he was a really good guy to grow up to. Everyone here knows Jay. He always has 5 or 10 projects going on. And as kids, we experienced a lot of different things, you know, making stained glass and woodworking, construction, gardening, beekeeping, canning, jarring, you know, all these things that we can take to later on in life. And Jay always involved us in all these projects, mostly just with shovels in our hands. But to this day, I took a lot away from it. And when I work with other people, you know, I can hold things, and I can carry stuff, I can hand tools to people, I can be totally quiet when someone's losing their temper. all these essential life skills you need. And Jay always taught us to pick the right tool for the job, too. You know, when you're painting the fence, you shouldn't use the paint sprayer in the garage. You should use the 2-inch wide paintbrush that your dad hands to you. Or when you're pulling weeds in the yard, you don't grab the garden hoe. You use the flathead screwdriver that your dad hands to you. So Jay, thank you for that. I'll pass that on to Kai and Aisha as they get over here.
Love you, man.
Jay was always passing on words of wisdom. My favorite thing that he said over and over again, to try to prepare us for you know, our later lives. You've heard it at least every week. Shut the door! Which he still tries to pass on to this day. Now Jay is getting old now. He's had a head of gray hair since he was in his 20s. But you know, now it's noticeably thinning out, turning white. His hearing isn't what it used to be either, which is, you know, actually a good thing. I think that's what makes grandparents so much fun. When we were kids growing up, if we wanted to stay up late at night and watch TV, we would have to lay on the floor 2 feet from the TV with our ear to the speaker and one little notch of volume on the TV because Jay would come down the stairs and yell at us if we didn't. And then there was that one time that Jay came down and told me to turn off my ceiling fan because my ceiling fan was keeping him awake. Because I had a loud ceiling fan. You know, ceiling fans are known for being loud. So, you know, I'm glad when the grandkids come and stay over at the house that they don't damage their eyesight by watching TV too close, and you know, don't have to sleep in a sweaty bedroom when it's 105 degrees at midnight in Arizona. You know. Or as Kelly would say, sweeting. Now, my mom is getting old too. I think she enjoys it now because she has something to blame her behavior on. There was one time many years ago that my mom and I were at a hotel and they went to the hotel coffee shop. And Jay was kind of straggling behind my mom a little bit. He had seen someone in the hallway or whatever. And by the time Jay got into the coffee shop, my mom was really upset because the barista was totally ignoring her. And then Jay had to point out to her that the barista was a statue. And she didn't have her glasses on.
True story.
Or there was the time that she was in Florida and she needed to go buy some shoes for an event, and there was a Walmart like 5 minutes down the road. So she left the hotel and then came back 2 hours later, just panicked and stressed because she couldn't find the Walmart for 2 hours, the one that was 5 minutes down the road. And in all that time driving around, she never saw another shoe store. So she was just intent on getting to that Walmart. And then there was that time in her 30s where she dated Ronald McDonald for 6 months.
True story.
And yes, I mean literally a guy that dressed up as Ronald McDonald and did magic shows for kids.
What the?
She dated that guy.
Sophie.
But you know, now she left Jay to go date Winky the Clown, we would all just say, oh, she's just being old. But that's what we say now about her alcoholism.
Oh.
Jay and Maggie are so old, in fact, that they've been married for 25 years. So I have a million stories, but I don't want to steal all the thunder. So I'm going to invite my other siblings to come up and tell some stories. I hope you guys are taking notes, because you will have a chance for rebuttal. When all the siblings are done, we are going to open up the floor to anybody else that wants to come up and embarrass the crap out of my parents. So once we're done embarrassing ourselves, please come up and continue the embarrassment. We actually watched the wedding video the other night of when they got married, and Jay and Maggie both, because it was a blended family, they said vows to the kids. And one of Jay's vows to us was to never be an embarrassment.
I lived up to it.
I don't think he took in the whole definition of embarrassment. But of course, this has all been fun. You know, I love my family. I wouldn't change anything about them. So congratulations on 25 years, and thanks for always being there for us and doing it right.